Hey everyone, this video I'm doing now, this presentation, it's one of my harder ones to do. It's not one on motivation, or it's one on cancer of society, a massive problem that's rife right throughout society, and it's never really been addressed. It's never really been there's been no solutions put forward for it, and it just keeps festering. And I'm talking about child abuse and paedophilia. There's a growing number of pedophiles in our society. The punishment they get when they caught isn't that harsh. They get light sentences. They're released early back into society. There was even laws so that people couldn't even put up their addresses to give people warning when they're in communities. And they were living next door to schools and places where children frequent. It was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But that's not what I'm going on about. I'm going to attack this thing from a couple of different angles. One, I'm going to be addressing to the young families out there, the young mothers with young children. I'll be giving them some advice and my analysis of part of a problem, why this ends up into cases of child abuse. I'm also going to be telling people some of the tricks and tactics that these grubs use. These grubs that look like they're good citizens, upstanding, and when they finally get caught, people go, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. But no, they were rotten from the core from the start. They're just very good at their game. I'm addressing this now because I've been putting in my redress claim because I was a victim myself. Not as early child abuse, not like a young, but as an early mid-teen, in foster care, in Catholic care, in Newcastle. But it actually started at early childhood without realising, because now I'm older and I can sit back and analyse things, and I can see a lot I couldn't see when I was younger. This is all fresh in my head because I've had to go through and fill out these forms, okay? I first filled out these forms 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I filled them out. I submitted them all into the redress scheme through MyGov. And back then, you had to go get a letter from the Justice of the Peace or a stat dec to say, and to kind of make what you wrote official. And so I hadn't done that because I first put my first claim in after I was able to do it when it came out. I can't remember what year the redress scheme came out, but I didn't jump on it straight away. I didn't want to do it, and it took me a couple of years before I did actually put it in, and it was COVID and lockdown and that, and so I didn't go and get this affidavit or whatever from the Justice of the Peace, and I lost my phone. When I lost my phone number, and then next minute I'm locked out of MyGov because I think they sent you out a code and that you had to put in so you could get in. And so I rang them up and I asked, could I get a new code or a new password for my MyGov? And they said, we can't do it. You have to start again. You've got to get a totally new MyGov, totally stupid, with your new number. And so when I done that, I lost almost all my services that were on there, my taxation, my child support, my Medicare, my Centrelink, my job centre, and my redress. I thought, no worries. When I get the new one and re-add them, everything will be there. And I'm going too far with this little bit of the story, but I'm just saying. Lo and behold, everything I wrote had gone. It had gone. And do you know how hard it is to sit back? And I wrote those things in earnesty. And I put a lot of time and thought and tears and reliving through a lot of memories, writing all that. And when they said, I thought, you fucking joke. I didn't do it. I didn't do another one until 2 years now. And it was too dramatic. I wanted to go around and attack grubs when I after it. I honestly did. But writing this one, I couldn't write it with the same. I was angry when I wrote it. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. blah, 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 and it kind of was more abrupt, and it was written in anger. And I'm saying, this is the fucking second time I've written it, and just, that's how I wrote it, and put it in there. And anyway, so I put it in. And you don't need no stat text now. So I've put it in, sat back, and 2 months later, they go, we need more information. I got more fucking information. I said I fucking gave you that much information. Do you know how hard it was for me to write that? What do you want to know? What the hell do you possibly want to know? Like the institution I was in, that's listed there. The dates I was in there is listed there, and I even named the perpetrator in there. It's not legal action, it's redress, but I don't give a fuck. And they said, no, you wrote something at the start of it, and we need to know more about that. And I said, that had nothing to do with the home and the place I was in, that was out in the street. And they said, yeah, but that's got a lot to do with it, and that's going to escalate your thing, because they had duty of care. I'm thinking, okay. I don't blame the home for what happened when I was a dickhead out in the street. And when my mate was just young and out on the Saturday night and drinking. But anyway, I'm not going to go into it. But I don't blame that place for it. But they do. They say that's their duty of care. So it's been pretty traumatic for me. I've been doing head miles the last few weeks with all this shit. It's absolute. When you have a traumatic event, and in your early childhood, it honestly stays with you for life. It shapes your whole life, and that's why these people need to be exposed, and there needs to be action from us to prevent this stuff in ways we can. Now, when I'm saying it goes back to my early childhood, okay. Pedophiles, they target, they pick their victims. They honestly do. They pick those who are vulnerable. That's why you get them in orphanages, foster homes, schools, scouts, after daycares. Why? I'll tell you why. Because kids who grew up without their parents around and in a home that had no affection, no real hands-on love, no nurturing from their immediate family, from their mother and father, and they might come from a violent family. These pedophiles prey up on that because they start grooming them. They start giving these kids affection. They start like touching them and cuddling them, and it all seems innocent, but they've got a plan. They honestly have a plan. They see this, and that's how they win these kids in. They get them in. And here's one thing people don't realise about pedophilia. It's not like rape in the sense where a kid's violently attacked and he's got bruises and he's screaming and marks, and they're slowly groomed into it. Okay, there is that case where kids are attacked, grabbed, and that. Yeah, but that's only a small percentage. And what these pieces of shit do, they groom the kids. Now, this is going out to young mothers as well, and young families and that. Watch these people. Like, they'll go along, they'll pick a kid up from a bench or something, or get him off a swing, and they'll accidentally brush part of taboo part of their body, and but they do it real slowly to condition the kid. They want to see if the kid's had a reaction, and then so they're slowly working their way. They're not. It looks like they're being affectionate to the kids, isn't it, at the start, but they're slowly working their ways in to get the kids accustomed to them putting their hands on them, isn't it? And young mums and that. I know this is going to sound hard and silly, but it's when your child's young and needs nappies changed, and they need dressing and everything. Please do the majority of it yourself. Not for the fact that you can't trust anyone, but you really can't. But the fact is, if a lot of different people are changing that kid's nappy or dressing, the kid's getting used to a lot of hands being on them. It doesn't, it's not out of the normal for strangers to be handling their kids. Don't let too many people handle your kids. They don't need to handle your kids. You give them love. You give them affection. You give them cuddles. You give them their source of comfort, their security. Kids aren't like dogs that have to go down the park and be socialised. Okay, kids don't need to be socialised. They just need to be loved by their family, and they need to know they're loved. They need that strong family unit. And so when kids get to orphanages or refuges or into institutions, there's no love and nurturing there. It's a cold, hard place. No one cares. The kids in there are competing for anything, for attention, for food, for this and that, blah, blah, blah. That's taken away from them. So that's why child grooming is rife in a lot of these places. Okay, because you've got kids in there yearning for attention. And the way these pedophiles groom kids is by the time it all comes undone from them, they get exposed. And it does take a while because the kids won't speak out. Do you know why they won't speak out? Because they've enjoyed the touching and that stuff. They've got attention. They've got what they think is love. And then by the time that they're coming out and getting exposed to these grubs, the kids think, but it's their fault. It's my fault. It's not. That's how evil these people are. That is how evil they are. So, parents, just keep your eye on your kids and who actually changes nappies, changes that. Okay. I was looking after my brother's kids like a year or two ago, and they were out a bit longer. They were out up to longer than they were meant to be. Him and his missus, and they both had shitty nappies, isn't it? And I was feeling bad because I've got kids and I know, but I didn't want to change the nappies. I honestly did not want to change the nappies for a few reasons. They're not my kids. They were young, and yeah, it's just, and that's how the world's become these days. Like, there's a lot of good people, like teachers, male teachers, stuff that's leaving the education system and leaving teaching and that because they're afraid that they're going to get accused of something, and they're the good ones. And you know what? The bad ones don't leave because they're in there, because that's where the kids are. That's why they're in these jobs. That is why they're in their jobs. They put themselves near kids and they look like they're really good, friendly kind of people. I remember a teacher at our primary school. We had a couple in our primary school. For those who don't know, from around Australia, I'm from Newcastle and Maitland area, and paedophilia was rife up there. It was rife. They had a task force, an ASIO task force up there in about 2014, 2015, going through cleaning out all the Maitland diocese, which is actually a Newcastle, like the Catholic Church, and a heap were pulled in there, and it was rife. But so in my primary school, like even in my high school, we had a teacher jailed for it, and I won't go into that because there's still students around. But anyway, this teacher in primary, he used to help girls with gymnastics and help them over when they're doing cartwheels, this and that. It was a grub. Honestly, he was a couple of teachers there got done for paedophilia. When my mum was alive, rest her soul, she actually sat on the jury at one of her trials. I went to district court. She got through jury duty, and there she is. There's one of her. My mum worked in the education system. Anyway, this problem needs to be addressed. You know what? The government does fuck all about it. The church does fuck all about it. The church are just having it's just become so out in the open. They have to put money up, and they have to. Yeah, but they covered it up for so many years. All through society's been covered up. And you know what? Once a child is damaged at a young age, it lasts for the rest of their life. It takes away their trust. It takes away their self-worth. It takes away their self-value. It takes away their confidence in dealing with people. Puts paranoia into them. Makes them feel worthless. Especially young kids who's been... all of it's wrong, but kids that have been abused by people of the same sex and that, they deal with an identity for years. They don't know who they are. They just feel just not even human. But that's around the time it happens. But then it goes on for years. And if you use my life for example a bit, if you look at me, like I was an A-grade student. I was honestly like an A-grade student. Like I was at the top of my schools, top of my classes and stuff. And then all of a sudden, I started getting expelled from schools. I got 3 different high schools. I didn't care. I walked out of class when I wanted. I abused teachers. I made teachers quit. Then I started getting arrested, getting locked up at young age. Rebelled, what people call underachieved. I don't feel like I underachieved. I didn't want to achieve. Like I had no problems academically. I could have done anything that I wanted, but the problem was I didn't want to do anything. I lost my vision in life at a young age. I ended up being incarcerated. I've had some good moments through my life, but a lot of broken relationships. Getting like a lot of depression, anxiety. I suffered from separation syndrome or detachment syndrome, whatever you call it. I kind of dealt with that now. It took me years to deal with that. But this all stemmed from then. It changed the whole course of my life. Okay, I'm still proud of the person I am inside because through it all, I've kept my morals and conscience and social awareness and my towards other people. But I didn't trust a lot of people on the streets. 17, I was on the streets of King's Cross at 17, and I remember I was in one place. I was a refuge called the Opposition. Well, man, you had to be in that place by 5 o'clock at night, and if you had shoes on, whatever possessions you owned, you slept with them under the blankets and sheets. And usually, if you could get a knife past them, you could sleep with a sheath underneath you there because that place was. I remember there was kids in there my age and this and that, and they had AIDS, raging addictions, everything. And that's where people like me and ones who went through abuse and through emotionally cold environments end up at places like the Cross. Why? The glitter, the lights, drugs. You felt, when you were a street kid, you felt like you belonged, but you didn't. But there needs to be tougher sentences for these vile pieces of shit. They should not be getting no parole. They should not be released back into the community, into areas where there's children or everything, when their sentence does run out. But I don't believe a sentence should. I think they should just be locked away. That's it for life. I don't give a fuck. You know, I'd rather see someone get out for a mass shooting on adults than a person who's hurt one child. You know, I'm not saying I want to see mass murders get released, but that's how bad these people are. They're destroying our country. They're destroying humanity because it's this generational trauma, and it breeds down into their children and their children. And some people that were victims turn into offenders. Some turn into raging psychopaths and going around and taking revenge out on these people, and silently, or maybe not so silently. And some just turn into nervous wrecks and just drift through life. And you know what, 20, 30 years down the track, when people see people like that, they don't know the background story. Why is this person just such a twit or zombie? Because they've been a nervous wreck. Their character, their soul was destroyed when they were young. So, just to wrap it up, as I'm saying, parents, you really need to be observing your children when they're around other people, especially family, not immediate family, but uncles, aunties, extended cousins, like prick relations, this and that, because these people, they're everywhere. Just because you're from a wealthy suburb or a good part of town or from the streets or anywhere, it doesn't make you safe, because they're everywhere. They're in every little part of society, nook and cranny. They're sick. And it's the problem with these people who offend, they've got no self-esteem. They feel worthless and dead inside themselves, and so it isn't always like a sexual thing for them. It's a power trip for them. They get control, and they don't care. You know, they don't care for that child. They just care for their own perversion, their own sense of power. And you know what? A lot of them, when they finally are caught, think, I done nothing wrong. I done good things. I gave the child this, I gave that, I gave it affection. They're twisted, evil people. So, hope this video or this presentation gets to someone that hears and gets something out of it and saves one child. Because, trust me, this is hard for me to do. Very hard. But I've been mulling on it, and I've been thinking, there's no education. We're not taught in schools. Funny that, because that's where a lot of it occurs. When parents aren't given no course, or sat down and say you have to look for this and look for that, and by the time that they realise and work out how it happened, it's too late. So just a bit of awareness, and yeah, the key points for what parents is make sure you don't hold affection back from your kids. Don't overdo it or this and that and make them feel like spoiled, but spoil them if you want, but it's better than no affection. Give them affection, give them love, give them care. Make them feel safe. Make them feel wanted. Don't leave them feeling like they're stuck in a emotionally cold wasteland. Also, there's some other things. Listen to your kids. Kids don't, they just speak as it is and things that's happened, and listen to their words. Listen if a teacher's name keeps coming up an unusual amount of times, or Mr. and Mrs. such and such. Oh, they took me in their car to the shops today and helped because I was a good girl or good boy or whatever, you know. Listen to things like that. Mightn't always be mean there's something going on, but there's signs. Okay, watch your behaviour. Look if they're afraid to go to a place or don't want to go to a place, or all of a sudden don't want to go to school, or there's some classes they don't want to go to, they're always in trouble. Watch your behaviour. Listen to their language. Listen to the context in which they use words that may be above their kind of comprehension at their age. The signs are all there. We really need to be observant. We really need to be proactive, because our governments, our courts, our law systems, they're not doing anything. I won't go into it too much, but a lot of them are part of the problem too. A lot of them are part of the problem, especially when we had a Prime Minister, his name suppressed on with 27 names held by a parliamentary committee, withheld from the public, of pedophiles. So don't trust the system with your kids' welfare, safety, well-being. Okay, we need to be proactive. We need to take steps into our hand that's going to prevent this. Okay, because at the end of the line, the pedophiles are at the end of the line. For these kids to be accessible to them, they have, as I said at the start, they choose and target kids. They cherry pick with all the conditions that's going to make a kid easy to prey upon. Hopefully, awareness, we can shut these bastards down. Also, we need to lobby, we need to campaign our government to do something about it. Okay, they distract us with things like this voice vote. You know, we need something to protect our children, not these false bullshit, false flags to deceive us and trick the population in another useless referendum that proves fuck all. You know, if they can't, I'm not even going to go into that issue, but we need to lobby the government. We need to make it happen. We need to take things in our own hands. That's all. I hope this, as I said, I hope this has reached someone. Thank you all. Stay safe.